Governor Johnson, backing up from all of this and looking at the big picture, are you concerned? Is that why you're running, looking at some of the other candidates? Because, hearing you on military issues of al-Qaeda, I guess you concur with Ron Paul. Why are we being attacked, if you buy into the whole official fable, as the mainstream media and folks do? Then we're being attacked because we have all these empires everywhere. We don't see Switzerland because they're non-interventionist being attacked, but certainly nobody who's got a large military is going to attack us because we've got all these nukes and weapons. But what about the issue of the fact that they continue to use the threat of al-Qaeda as a pretext to take the American people's liberties, i.e. the TSA sticking their hands down people's pants?
Well, and then I would have never established the TSA, never. I would have left airport security to the airlines, and I dare say today that we would be as safe and it would be less intrusive. And I would have never established the Department of Homeland Security. States would have done just fine doing that. And as governor of New Mexico, with all of the resources that came in for a Homeland Security in the state, a Homeland Security Department in the state of New Mexico, I just gave that title to my Secretary of Public Safety, and really no resources got added to what it was that we were doing. And I spent all my time trying to fend off what would have been intrusions against the civil liberties of New Mexicans, as opposed to going out and spreading the fear and the really fear more than anything, just spreading the notion of fear and that government is the only one to protect, and that doing some of the things that were proposed right after 9/11, in my opinion, would have just been unbelievably cumbersome, would have taken away liberties and freedoms, would have altered traffic with no justification whatsoever to have done any of that.
If elected president, we've got Senator Al Franken saying he wants to have an investigation of Apple, Google phones. They're all involved in these phones tracking your location, and then when you sync them with the computer, transmitting it on to the telecom. But Al Franken ought to investigate Congress, Governor, because I remember in '96 covering the fact that they ordered the phone companies and cell phone manufacturers by October 1st, 2001, to have all these systems built in with back doors. So Congress is freaking out over this. They passed a law ordering this infrastructure to be put in. What would you do with all of the warrantless spying and tracking and internet kill switches? And Obama wants an internet ID now, where you get a government-issued ID working with private corporations. Basically, the White House holds your passcodes, and they admit the IRS will basically look over your computer. You think that's a good idea?
Well, no. Just right off the top of my head, no, that's not a good idea. And I get back to my resume. You'd asked me earlier, too, why are you doing this? Well, I'm doing this because I really think that I can make a difference. I really think that I can do a good job here. And as governor of New Mexico, I really enjoyed the job. I really enjoyed immersing myself in these issues, trying to understand these issues, and then trying to make the best decision possible regarding public policy and how it actually related to everyday living. And in that context, I've vetoed probably as many, and I say probably because I might be embellishing here a bit, but I don't think it's by much. I think I vetoed more legislation than all the other governors in the country combined. And so I really took a stand against bigger government and government intrusion, just like what you're talking about, and the unintended consequences of government. Government picks winners and losers, and as a result of picking winners and losers, I think we as regular old folks, taxpayers, we end up all taking it on the chin. Government should be in the business of providing a level playing field, that all of us have access to this American dream, that if we're willing to work hard, innovate, that we're going to be successful in this country, as opposed to being held back or restricted or whatever it is from having the freedom, having the liberty to do what it is that innately we know best for our own lives. the whole intrusion of government into surveillance, all these things that you're talking about. As governor of New Mexico, I looked at these kinds of things, and whenever I felt that those threats were present, and by threats, I mean threats to civil liberties, I'd like to think I stood up, and I always did the right thing, and that's why I'm engaged in this. Everything
well Governor, let me just...
benefit analysis.
Cost-benefit analysis. Well, just to be clear here, that's why I do respect you, even though I disagree with you on several issues, is you actually did do what you campaigned for once you got into office, and a lot of libertarians and others admire you for that, because just knowing that somebody is going to do what they say they're going to do, that's one of the main reasons I admire Ron Paul so much, is that is a quality that we are severely lacking in Congress, in the White House, in government, in state governments, is people that A, do what they say they're going to do, but also B, understand that if we don't have liberty and freedom, then we're not America. This country isn't special. We could be North Korea. We could be Mexico. It's the liberty that is the engine of all of this prosperity, and that's why I wish you a lot of luck. In the 2 or 3 minutes we've got left here, I just want to give the website out, GaryJohnson2012.com. In closing, if you were on national TV, which you are every day multiple times, and you had 2 minutes to lay it out for people about the direction of America and what Gary Johnson stands for, you've got the floor.
Well, we need to save this country tomorrow. We are on the verge of a financial collapse. We cannot pay back $14 trillion in debt when we're racking up $1.6 trillion in new debt this year and in the foreseeable future. It's not going to happen. We landed on the moon. We can balance the budget. We can do this. This is not difficult, but we've got to engage in it. We're engaged in the opposite. And what is this country about? What did we fight World War II over? Did we fight World War II over Medicaid and Medicare? No. We fought it over our ability to have freedom, to be at liberty, to make our own decisions that don't impact others in any way whatsoever negatively. This is a country of liberty and freedom, and it also is the personal responsibility that goes along with that, something that we move further and further away from as opposed to embracing.
Former Governor of New Mexico, Gary Johnson, thank you for spending time. In closing, look, the Federal Reserve, the people running it, have a stake in us going bankrupt because they basically loan us the fiat currency and credit back, and saying that we're going to default if we don't spend more money when even S&P says we're going to default because we're spending too much money. They're steering us right towards the rocks. Would you move to break up the private run-for-profit Federal Reserve? I mean, even Newt Gingrich is now saying that.
Well, I would abolish the Federal Reserve if Congress passed that legislation, but they're not going to pass that legislation. And I realize some right now would advocate abolishing the Federal Reserve tomorrow, which would bring about the collapse, which many argue would be healthy. I'm going to take the side here that we could actually forestall and actually eliminate the collapse by balancing the federal budget, and in that context, then really this being a debate and a discussion before Congress to actually rid ourselves of the Federal Reserve, to return these functions of the Federal Reserve to a competitive regional banking system.
And to the Congress, because there's no doubt we're going on the rocks here. Governor, look forward to speaking to you again in the near future. Good luck with your campaign there in New Hampshire.
Alex, thank you for having me on.
All right, great having you. All right, there goes former Governor of New Mexico, Gary Johnson. We'll be back Sunday live, 4 to 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. Everybody have a blessed and wonderful Easter. I don't care if Hollywood says we shouldn't call it Easter. And can't call it Easter eggs. You got to call them Easter spheres. But that's all Ishtar anyways. Back Sunday, 4 to 6 p.m. Great job, crew. Big Bilderberg group coming up in the retransmission, Infowars.com. Visit Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. When you're on the site, you can also tune in 24 hours a day to my daily radio broadcast. There's also a free iPhone app to listen to the syndicated radio show when and where you want.